So let's see, guys have opened some defects. So yesterday somebody asked this rank. Now you can see, right? Now this rank is showing up. Yesterday it was not showing, right? Somebody asked a question like, what's the rank? But now it's, we can able to see this. Okay. So can so see, the problem with this application is, they need really large bandwidth. I'm not sure how much large, but still, internet is actually good from my side. If you want to see, I'll just open a. You know what? I can open any website without any trouble. Look at this. Okay, so my side, I think it's good. The only problem with this is the bandwidth. Okay, so that's what I requested. Go ahead and check with these guys Zoom, because these guys will require a lot of bandwidth, I guess. So go ahead, and check with them. Okay, go click on support and give them this link. Okay. Meet themselves. Okay. So you know what? Go ahead and check with them and contact them. Give them feedback, or try to call them. That would be great. If you could call them, this is not this. They have this one. So just go ahead and try to call them. Okay, because they really require a lot of bandwidth. Okay, here's this number. See, that's what I'm saying, right? Internet is not working from my side. If internet, see, that's what I'm trying to show. Okay. See, this is the thing. The problem is the technical issue. The technical issue is bandwidth. Okay. So that's the reason I'm saying see, this is the problem, right? You need to coordinate. So this is when somebody says to you, if you don't do it, okay, that's fine. I'm okay with that. But then you shouldn't tell me like, okay, your internet is bad. What I told you is to go ahead and check with them. Because why? Because I already checked them. They said it's good from their side, and it's really good. And it's good from both sides. I checked with New Jersey team. I checked with also Virginia team. Okay, it looks good. So what I'm trying to say is their bandwidth requirement is very high. Okay, that's the technical issue from the Zoom point of view. So what you need to do is call them, tell them this issue that you're facing. Okay, if you don't want to do it, it's up to you. I'm not forcing you to do it, but then, if you cannot, come to me and say, okay, you cannot hear it because you need to do your part too, right? See, if you want to become boss, that's a different story. You can become boss. Okay, but if you want to, become a technical point of view as a QA tester, QA analyst, then you need to do this work. Okay, if you don't want to do it, okay, fine. You can become a boss. You can, but that will be the only. That will be the end. I mean, you cannot go higher. If you want to be more good, you need to be a technical point of view. Okay, so let's. Any questions anymore? So people who cannot hear me, okay. So go ahead and reach out to them. Call them. Tell them. See, you need to keep calling them. You need to tell them until they speak, because I already opened a lot of tickets on this, and it's only from Zoom, okay? Because I checked with both sides, and it's everything. They have the bandwidth issue. They need to really work on bandwidth, okay? Okay, so okay, let's go to this pretty quick. So some people have open defects. And also, right, if you cannot hear, I mean, I'm giving you two, I'm also giving you two recording. One is, let's see, I'm giving you two recordings. So you also have the option, to view that second. So you know what? You have options, okay? It's not like, okay, you only, you're not getting here, it's not something like that. You have options, 2-3 options, you can make use of that. It's up to you. If you don't want to use, that's completely fine, you don't have to depend on me or depend on something. But I'm just saying that, if you need an option, there's an option. Okay, so yeah, this is good. This is what I told, like, that was a defect. See, here you need to put your name, not my name. Okay, so I don't know who has written. See, you need to put your name. Okay, yeah, it's good. You guys are putting screenshot. That's good. That will help you out. Yeah, here you go. This is how you can, open comments. See, these comments really not required, but you know what? If you want to give information that everyone has to be on the same page, you need to do. Sometimes there are issues. Okay. There are issues, that is a little bit complex. Then you need to coordinate with it. Okay, you need to coordinate. You need to, work with them and, and fix the issue. So this is mine. Okay. Okay, good. You guys did good. 10 defects, good. But there are like 20 people. That's like half of the people have done. But that's fine. Okay. So most of them know. Like some people know how to do it. Some people will learn anyway. Okay. So. Okay. Any questions so far in the whole rally? So we'll just finish this. We have completed this rally tool. Okay. Rally is a test management tool where you manage your test cases, execute your test cases, coordinate with the developer, open defects, you need to follow up with this. See, you need to follow up with whom? With the developer. And you cannot say, okay, it's not working, it's your problem, you cannot say that. You need to follow up. When somebody gives some information, see, here's the thing, there was some issue. There was some issue saying that, I opened a defects, okay, to the developer says that. Developer says, no, this is not really issue. This is actually from the database point of view. Why don't you go and check with your database administrator? Okay, does it make sense? So I need to go and check with the, okay, so I need to check in with the database administrator. But if you guys, say like this, our other classes are Zoom are working fine, and it not, it is that internet that messed up. You know what? You may not be in such a good position after saying that to your developer. Okay. So, you know what? If you yell on someone like this, you may not be in good. So here you can do it. It's fine. No, I don't care. I don't care. I know how it works in corporate environment. I know. So I don't care. Whatever you want to yell on me, you want to think you're a boss. That's fine. But if you are going as a QA, if you are going as a tester, you want to say something like this, you may not always be in a good position. Okay, so what you want to do is you want to follow up. You want to follow with whom? Who gave the information? Developer said, hey, why don't you check with the database administrator? This is really not from my point of view, because these issues are not there. You need to check with it. Now, database administrator doesn't respond. I know, databases. So you need to follow up. You need to call them daily. You need to check them. You know what? This is a screenshot. This is what is happening. Why don't you put CC? CC to your boss, CC your lead, saying that okay, still they don't respond. CC their boss. That's how you need to coordinate. Does it make sense? I see, a lot of coordination issue from you guys. Okay, this coordination is very important. You can see the person who gave you some information saying that, hey, why don't you check up these guys? You cannot come back and, yell at me. That doesn't make sense. Okay. So that's how it should be, whenever you go, because, you can do that, that's fine. But once it gets escalated from the boss, you might get fired the same day. Okay, just don't be an impression that just because you can tell them it's your problem, then clearly it will be a serious issue. So make sure you guys work on that. Okay, so here it's fine. I'm not going to fire anyone. I'm not I don't care technically. I'm no more working in corporate environment, so so you need to know, okay, if you are saying if somebody says something, you need to check up with them. You need to resolve issue, because you need to follow up. Okay, I hope it makes sense to everyone. Unless you are a boss, of course. If you are a boss, you still you have to be careful, because if your manager, director will fire you. Okay, so you need to be very careful in following up these things. Okay, it's not really, if you don't coordinate, that's fine, but you cannot tell to someone once they give some information. Okay, does it make sense to everyone? So that will be, so this is a part of your training, right? This is part of training, how you actually works. Okay, so if no one have any questions in Rally, let's go to pretty quick here. Okay, we completed this. You know what, let's go to the documentation part. Okay, so we have a lot of documents here. So there are various documents. When you go into project, you need to know a lot of documents. In Agile, they are trying to eliminate this documentation. Okay, so but they cannot eliminate everything. Okay, so here's the thing. there's something called business requirement document. Okay, give me a second. Okay, so what exactly is this business? This is called BRD. Okay, it's called BRD. It's called business requirement document, and yeah, as I said, yeah, right. It's fine. It's I don't care these mistakes. Okay, this is a part of your training. So, I mean that's fine. But the moment you go into project, it's going to be different. So don't expect so easy life. Okay. Okay. So okay. So I'm muting. I'm muting. So whoever wants to unmute, they can unmute. Okay. So let's get back to here. Okay. By today, I'll be giving you access to this Google Drive. Make use of it. See, here's the thing. Make use of what are the information I'm giving here. Okay. So go to the testing documents. Okay, business requirements. So here you go. Okay, so let's see what's a business requirement document. So what is a business required document? So business. So what does it contain? So it contains 10 to 20% of use cases, business modeling, risk analysis, and budget information. Okay, let's see. Let's take an example here. Okay, let's go to this master. Okay, so look at this. So when you go into the project, you need to read all this. Okay, you might get access to this. First, you need to get access to a SharePoint. Once you get the access to the SharePoint, okay, you need to download. Okay, sometimes they will help you out for printout. You can take a printout, and you can your lead will help you out. But sometimes they will not. So you need to check with them. Hey, ask them. Okay, where are these documents? Can I take a look of this BRD? Can I take a look of this functional requirements? So how many documents do you guys deal with? So you need to check with them. Once you check with them, they'll give you access to the SharePoint. Once you get access, now this is how it looks like. Okay, so this is business required document. So this contains a lot of information. You see this? You need to read all of them, but it's not necessary for you to understand everything what is there here. Okay, it's not really required because these documents are prepared keeping a lot of people in mind. Okay, so there is everyone have access from top to bottom, from management perspective to whoever is working here in their project. Everyone have this documents. Okay, so what they see is management sees from a high level perspective, and as a tester, if I get this document, I would see as a specific. Okay, this will be a specific to me, and I will be writing a test cases based on this document. Okay, so you need to go ahead and read and understand what's really going on with this project, and see, here's the thing. The thing which you is required for your job. Underline it. So this you don't have to underline this. You need to understand. Okay, so what's going on, and write the test cases based on that. Okay, because this document may not be understood at once. In just looking at this, here, see this testing. Okay, good. So testing. So here's what I have to do. So I got my point. So I'll be working test cases based on this. Now I have to read this because it might be dependent on this. Okay, so this is the document. This is business requirement document. Okay, again going back to what is BRD? BRD is business requirement document, and what does it contains? It contains information about the project, like business modeling, risk analysis, budget information. Okay, so you will able to have access by today. Okay, I'll be giving you access to this Google Drive. So this is. Let's go to the next one. So there is FRD. So what is FRD? Functional requirement document. So let's pretty quick check. Okay, so oh, here is the, so this is okay. So this is an example that somebody asked a question how to write test cases based on the requirements. So that's a very good question. Actually, somebody previous class somebody asked. So you will not have ready-made application as I explained to you. Okay. So you will be writing most of the time. You will be writing test cases based on this requirement. So this is functional requirement document. Okay, I'll just give a pretty quick how to write. You need to come up with, let's go to here. So when it says like, prescriber first name maps to first name, so you need to, understand in your mind that the first name is a static text and the field value. So there will be a field value like this. So you need to a little bit understand from here perspective. Okay. So here you can understand from here. Okay. Okay, so here first name, okay, good, I have name. Last name, okay, this complete last name, there's no last name here, but they might have another field and the static text for this, okay, you can write the last name. Address, okay, good, we have also have address. City, okay, great, we have city. State, zip, phone, okay, fax, there is no fax, you can add the fax, okay. So based on this, you need to write test cases. Now this application this is not the BRD for this application. This is completely different. But what I'm trying to say is, you will be writing test cases for these fields, right? As I explained, you write for the buttons. So you see this for buttons, right? The similar way you write these test cases on these fields. Okay, so that application will not be available, but you have to understand these statements. Okay, what does this statement say? Maps to means it is like a field value and it has a static text written called first name, and the field value is actually the box which you'll be writing test cases. So this is FRD. Now FRD is very important for QA point of view because you will be having, you require this. If there is no application ready-made, then you need to require this and you need to write based on this. Okay. Yes, there is a test case after this. So go ahead and you can look at, okay. Okay, great. So we have, I've written the test cases for this. Okay, good. So here, you can view this. Okay, what are the step cases you need to follow? Okay, so this, I have written few of them. This is long back. Okay, so you can view this and you can understand what. So these are the test cases for this. Okay, for this requirement. So this is FRD. Okay, what is FRD? It's a function required document. What does it contains? It contains functionality and features of an application. Okay, there can be also screenshot, which is not here. Okay, there will be a screenshot if required. Okay, but they may not always include the screenshot. Okay, so let's move to the next one. SRS, System Requirement Specification. Okay, so let's go and be quick. Okay, so this is SRS. Okay, what is SRS? It's a system requirement specification. And what does it contain? It contains requirement of specifications of the system. Okay, so how the server, how many nodes we have from the server, how many access we are doing. So all these things, about the hardware. Actually, it will be more about the hardware point of view. Okay, look at this. How are we organizing this? How many servers we need? How many databases are organized in each server? And all those things. How many devices are connected to it? How many? So all these things will be there in this SRS. So you don't have to need all these SRS as a QA point of view, but yeah, it's good to know. You need to know. Okay, so that is SRS. Let's move to the next pretty quick. Okay, you have these two things. One is PDM and LDM. Okay, PDM is physical data model. What is PDM? So PDM is a high-level document which contains information about the physical entity. What is physical entity? Table. Table is a physical entity. So let's pretty quickly check how does that looks like. Okay, so okay, good. So this is what this is what PDM. So it contains information about this physical entity. So that's table. Okay. So now you have this, a lot of in one table you have this, ID, name, position, all this information, right? So all this information will be there here. Okay. And let's see one more. So there is one more called ER diagram. Okay. So okay, good. So this is how this looks like. ER diagram will be pretty big because you will be knowing like how, what are you trying to do. If you're in ETL project, then this is a must. Okay, because you need to know which primary keys you're assigning, which foreign key you're working on, and what's a natural key, what's a candidate key. Okay, on all those things, surrogate keys, how the surrogate keys they are managing. Okay, so you need to know all those things in the ER diagram. So this, when ER diagram comes up, then you need to understand, is it OLAP database or or something else. Okay, so you need to understand this. Okay, so this is PDM. What is PDM? PDM is physical data modeling, and it contains information about physical entity. Okay, what is physical entity? Table. Okay, there's something called LDM too. So LDM is logical data modeling, and what is logic and what is LDM? LDM is high-level document which contains logical entity. So what is a logical entity? Views. Okay, so it's similar to PDM. Only thing the difference is that contains table. This contains this contains the views. Okay. So this is all this information are stored in the LDM. Okay, and let's move to the next one. This is called HLD. Okay, HLD is high level design. So this HLD, right? So let's take an example here. Okay, so you're working on projects. Okay, now you know what, you're working on project, and there are like call flows. Okay, so you know what, ETL projects. So normally these all things are are available in the ETL project. Okay, so there is a design document. Okay, what is the design document? So let's say you have this source, staging, target, right? This is three, and the whole data is moved from one point to another point. But how are you going to move it? You're not using some query, select star from the, no, that doesn't help to move the data. You're writing scripts, okay, SQL scripts, okay, shell scripts, all those things, that's fine. Now you use a tool called AutoSys, okay. You use a tool called AutoSys. That, what does the tool do? That tool, helps you out to keep the jobs. Let's say there are millions of data. Okay, there's a millions of data, and how would you move the millions of data? That will be in GBs, okay, the 100 GB, 500 GB, that's not easy to move out. Now that's the reason you use a tool there. Okay, what it does, it pulls up all the data from dev environment and put it to test environment or stage environment. Okay, so that's the only job. Now to do that, you have to follow some, instructions from the tool. Okay, because there are a lot of things. There are dependent jobs, there are independent jobs. You need to know which job to keep first and which not to keep. Okay, so let's pretty quickly check if we have this HLD. I don't think we have HLD. So that's how you have this block diagram. You know what? Let's quickly check online here. Okay. I'll just show you autosys. Okay, great. So let's see here. So here an example, okay, so here once you kick off this jobs, you need to do all these things, okay. So log file is generated for everything once you, so there are independent jobs and dependent jobs, okay. So that's what is called HLD, okay. Oh, here we go. This is better. This is better. So you know what? First job 2, job 3, job 4, job 5, job 6. If there is an error, go back. Then it's a success. So once it gets to it, you need to kick off the another jobs because it's independent. Some are independent, some are dependent jobs. So dependent, and once the jobs are done. So this block diagram, you see this block diagram, right? So this block diagram is called HLD. So it just doesn't is one-page information. It's similar to this. It contains a lot of information. What are the modules? How are you going to execute? So all these things will be there in the HLD. Okay. So that is HLD. What is HLD? HLD is a high-level design document. What does it contain? It contains information about for example, it contains information on the autosys block diagram. Okay. So it contains that is HLD. And there is one more called TDD, technical design document. Okay, so it's both are not same but similar. Okay, both are not same. TDD is also an high-level document which contains information about. Okay, again it contains information about the project. What kind of project you're working on. So let's take an example here. Let's say you're trying to call. Let's say you're trying to call Bank of America. Okay, you want to call Bank of America. Okay, and what happens when you call? There's an IVR. If you guys have noticed, it's called IVR, interactive voice response. So nobody, what, customer care doesn't pick up the call. You have to go through this automated response, give some information. Okay, and then once it validates, it goes to the next, and again once that gets validated. So you can pay your bills and all those things. So how does that thing work? So for that thing we call this TDD, technical design document. So it contains all the information about the IVR, how the call flows, how the flows is going. If you give wrong information, it will navigate into the different scenario. And once it gets, then it goes to the customer care. See, there's a lot of chain, a lot of dependent and a lot of flows. There will be that's called call flows. Okay. One after the other. If you give right information, you go to the one series. If you give the wrong information, it goes to the another series. Okay, if you want to customer care, press 9 for customer care. Then it goes to customer care. So that's how all this, that's the IVR project. Normally this IVR project, interactive voice response, has this TDD, technical design document. It's similar to HLD but not same. Okay, the documents flows remains. It contains a flow chart. Okay, start, stop, kind of like this, it's kind of like this. It has start, stop, and what you're trying to do in between, all those things. But that is called TDD. Okay, so let's move to the next one, STM. So what is STM? STM is source to target mapping. Okay, so let's pretty quickly check how does that looks like. Okay. So there are a lot of okay, good. Okay, good. This is good. Okay, so this is how the STM document contains. So what is STM? Source to target mapping. What does it contain? It contains all the information about the source, about the staging, and about the target. So what the source is all about? It's a database. Source, staging, target, it's all our databases. You will be dealing with the database, your initial guy. Okay. So again, you need to break it down. Okay. So the database is good. Now it contains a lot of information about the target column. Target column, what are its entity? That's what are the rows? What are the field values? Okay. So here let's take here. So it contains BDW. So what is BDW? Business Data Warehouse. Because there is two things called BDW and EDW. Business Data Warehouse or Enterprise Data Warehouse. Okay. And it contains, see, look at this. These are what columns? These are the columns in this target. Okay. And what's the column data type? You have this lot of data type. Is it character? Is it date, decimal, integer, and so on? Okay. BDW target PK. PK is primary key. Okay. Now primary key, you most of the time will be having one. So here look at this. You have so many. That means this is a composite primary key. Okay, that means it can accept 24 unique characters. Well, you know primary key, right? Unique and not null. Okay. So you know what? This is the composite primary key. When it's composite, then of course the project is complex. So all these are stored in this mapping document. That's why this is called STM, source to target mapping. Okay. And okay, once we are done with the target, now you have the source. Okay, reference. If you have any reference table, now you again need to deal with the source field name, source field data type, and transformation logic. So this is where you will be writing queries, SQL queries. You need to copy paste if it's that easy. Otherwise, you need to understand this logic here and put your own SQL there. Okay, that's mapping. Mapping mostly will be for the target, but there will be also for the source too. But most of the time it should be in only the target. But it's up to the design, how they want to design. And there is a business remark. Okay. So if there is any questions. Okay, never mind. Okay, so all this information is contained: the source information, staging information, target information. What are the target tables? What are the data type? What are the columns? We are not discussing about the rows unless it is specifically assigned in this STM. Otherwise, we don't discuss more into rows. Rows is where you want to query it and get the information. That's what you want to open detect. Okay, so that's STM, source to target mapping document. Okay. So what is STM? STM is high level document, okay, which contains all the information about the source, staging, and target. Okay. Now let's move to the pretty quick. Oh, we are running out of time. Let's finish this pretty quick. So there is one document called test plan. Okay. So we know what is this test plan. Okay, so give me a second. Okay, so let's pretty quickly check here. Oh, you know what? I have this. I'm not going to stop. So test plan is a high-level document prepared by whom? It's prepared by the QA lead. Okay, QA lead. Just because QA lead prepares it doesn't mean that you will be sitting idle. You need to give inputs. Okay, so what it has to know, what information should be there and what it's not. Okay, so this is this is what it contains. It contains what is the purpose of this test plan, what are the risks, what are the issues, what are the contingencies, what is if you are doing functional testing, what are the risks for that, and how many team members are are available, and how many team members will be required. All this information will be there in the test plan. Okay, so this is the test plan document. Okay, and let's go to the next. So there is something called test strategy document. The strategy document is something different. Sometimes people use this test plan and strategy one. Okay, you can go with the flow. You don't have to argue with them. But technically, these two things are different, because test plan is like, what are your plans when doing a project? But strategy is kind of how would you proceed if there are any risks, any issues. So how are you doing alternative things? Okay, so that's the strategy. Okay, but in company, they might treat it as same, go with the flow, don't have to worry about it. Okay, don't argue with them. Now test plan is different, test strategy is different. Doesn't matter. Okay, so let's go to the next one, test cases. What are the test cases? So we know test cases, right? Test cases is high level document prepared by the QA analyst. Okay, and what does it contains? Okay, it contains test case ID, objective, steps to perform, okay, expected result, pass, fail, comments, remarks. Okay, that's the information that test cases contain. Okay, and then something called migration document. So what is migration document? Migration document, see, let's say you are migrating from one database to another database, right? You want to migrate, let's say you have this Teradata, you have this Oracle. Okay, the source is Teradata, target is Oracle. Now, there is a lot of things will be going on, because target, Teradata SQL is different, Oracle SQL is different. You need to hire a Teradata guy. You cannot work with Oracle, because Oracle guy is different. So what you need to do, you need to coordinate with them and then prepare this document saying that, okay, so this is what, migration project, and this is Oracle, this is the Teradata, and this is the, you need to follow these instructions and all those things. Okay, so that will be, in the migration document. So, okay, any questions so far in documents? So let's go pretty quick with this. Okay, if no questions, we move to the next one. So we'll talk about this SDLC. So what is SDLC? SDLC is Software Development Lifecycle. Okay, why do we need this? So as explained, we need this is the framework. Now this is not something you are going to decide. This is something management is going to decide. This is a framework. It's like when you're going to work, there's a process. There's a the way they work is called SDLC. Okay. Now let's quickly check here. Look at this. What is the SDLC? It is it's a framework that describes the activities. Okay, how you want to proceed with. If you find a bug, how are you going to proceed? If it's a developer has to develop it, how is to proceed? So all this kind of thing. Okay, so let's pretty quick check here waterfall methodology here. So what is a waterfall? So the name itself, right? Waterfall. Only one day. It goes from top to bottom. If you find any issues, you need to go from scratch. You cannot, So there is, 10 phases. So what? I think the slides will remove this. So there is a 10 phases, but here. Okay, good. Here you go. Okay, if you can go ahead with the 10 phases, that's good. That's great if you can do it. But here I'll stick to only 6 phases here. Okay, requirements: design, implementation, test, installation, maintenance. Only 6. So let's go one by one. Okay, what is the requirement? So in the requirement phase, business analyst or product owner gathers all the requirements. Okay, so they'll coordinate. Business analyst will coordinate with the manager. Will be coordinating the developer, saying that hey, this is how it should go, and they will prepare the requirements. Okay, and next in the design phase, this is more for a architect guy. Architect guy designs how it should be. Okay, how the data should be, how the data flow should be, what are the tables are required, what are the entities. All these things is worked on design phase. Next, implementation phase. In this phase, the developer's job, okay, this is the job of a developer. What it does, he starts coding, okay, starts coding here in the implementation phase. Now, there's the next test. Here, what we come, okay, so here is the QA analyst job to test the application or test anything, okay, back-end testing or front-end testing, whatever it is, need to test here. Installation phase. In this installation phase, normally this is the job of a middleware team who will be moving that whole code from test environment to production environment. A lot of coordination is required. Okay, you need to make sure everything is moved from test environment to production environment in the installation phase. Then there is called a maintenance. So in this maintenance, normally job of a developer or lead, test lead, or will be maintaining so that if there is any production issues, make sure this is fixed as soon as possible. We cannot, wait. Okay, there's a maintenance phase. Okay, so 6 phases. So we know requirements, job of a business analyst, design, job of an architect, implementation, job of a developer, tester, job of a QA analyst, installation, job of a middleware team, maintenance. Okay, a lot of people have to coordinate, developer, tester. If you're a senior tester, you have to do it and lead. So let me ask you this. So let me ask you a question. So as a QA tester, as a QA analyst, where does my job start from? Can anyone answer? I'm a QA tester, I'm a QA analyst, so where does my job start from? Okay. So I've seen a lot of answers. Okay. Okay. Okay, so the answer is from requirements. Okay, our job starts right from the requirements. Okay, why? So let me ask you this. If our job starts from testing, do you think you will be idle in the whole 4 phases and doing nothing? Because you don't get paid to work idle. You get paid to do the work, right? So you need to, be, you need to start right from the beginning. That is from requirement phase. Okay. So here's the thing. How requirements? Okay. So now what happens in the requirement? Business gathers all the requirements, and they set up meeting with the lead. You need to make sure you guys are invited, or they will invite you, saying that okay. Once you get in the meeting, so business analyst present this information. Okay, so we are getting this project and we are moving this whole thing into this system. How are you going to proceed? So they need to ask a lot of questions, because now there is already project going on. How are you going to move? We have no QA environment available. How are you going to proceed? And there is no more resources available. We have resources shortage. You know what? We cannot start this project. So all this brainstorming, we need to start from requirement phase. Okay, lead, QA tester, QA analyst, everyone, project manager, all will be in the requirement phase. You need to understand what's going on. Okay, so you might open as a tester, you might ask issues, because there you might start from documenting issues. There might be a documentation issue. Okay, the documents are not right. So document doesn't say where is the QA environment. That document doesn't say where is test environment. All those things. Okay. And okay, so let's as a QA point of view, what we'll do in design phase. Now here's the thing. We will start writing test plan documents, test strategy documents. Okay, test cases in the design phase. Okay. Let's move to the next one. In the implementation, what QA will be doing here? Now let's say we didn't have enough time. We just wrote test plan and test strategy. We'll be writing test cases in the implementation phase. Okay, what's in the test? Here where our action starts. Here we execute the test cases. We have been doing a lot of writing, right? We have been doing a lot of writing, a lot of brainstorming. Even we have open issues to fix from the business point of view, a lot of things. But in the test is the real deal. There you go, execute the test cases and put set. And then installation is coordination, of course, a lot of coordination. You cannot sit idle because you need to work, make sure all the data is moved, everything is good. Okay, so you need to work with the middleware team to get this thing. And maintenance, what is there in the maintenance? So normally not QA job, it will be more of a senior QA or lead. Okay, saying that if there is any issues, production issues, how are you going to fix it? How much time we have, all these things. Okay, all these things will be done. So as a tester, we are going right from the requirements. We are not going, just because we have its test doesn't mean that we'll start testing. Because a lot of brainstorming work is there, a lot of documenting work is there. Okay, a lot of organizing work is there. So a lot of things. So that's we'll complete all these in these things. Okay, does it make sense? So now let's go to the next one. So there's the advantages and disadvantages. So I see there's an agile, there's also an agile. See, the difference is here in waterfall, what the major strength is, when you want to worry, quality is more important than cost. You see this? If you think that quality is more important, then you go with waterfall. If you think cost is more important than quality, then you go to agile. Okay? So that's a major advantage. There's also disadvantage. You can go through this. Okay? So we don't have much time to go through all this. So, okay, so let's go to this V-shaped SDLC model. Okay, so what is this V-shape? See this, it's a similar to waterfall methodology, but here what we are trying to do here is you are working on simultaneously in both things. In the V model, see this project requirements, you have requirements, again maintenance, so you're doing both things. That means you're working on two projects or something, working on the simultaneously and creating a V-shaped SDLC. But the phases remain same. What are the phases? Requirements, analysis, we have here, right? Requirements, design, implementation, test, installation. These things remain same. What changes is the way it is organized. It's organized in a V model, so it's called V-shaped SDLC model. Okay. Again, it has its own advantages and disadvantages. And let's move to the next one, quick. So there's another rapid application model. So these are all methodologies. So again, what is the methodology? Methodology is, it's a framework to do the work. Now you cannot say, okay, give me the software, I will do it. No, it doesn't work that way. It's not a software. It's a framework or it's a process, how you need to follow the instructions. Okay, this is done by the management perspective, and this is used to improve the quality of the software. Okay, so let's go to the next. We have one more like incremental SDLC model. So this is similar to SDLC, but this is incremental. Again, its phases remain same. The way it is organized is different. Okay, so here we do is verification and validation. Okay, is incremental SDLC. Okay, so somebody asked, right? Okay, to explain the RAD. So RAD is a rapid application model. I mean, you can go through this. Okay, so it's. I mean, I have not seen in my career like using this. I mean, these days more is into agile, but this is also a methodology. Okay, it's also a methodology. Let me check pretty quick if we have any options here. RAD model. Okay, good. Oh, here you go. This is better. So this is how, this RAD, okay. So you have business modeling, you go one by flow, flow by flow. Okay. This is the overview, this is the overview of RAD. So how you actually follow the instruction. Okay. You can use this, okay. So this is really different kind of SDLC, you don't have, it's a different phases, you see that the phases are different, but it's a little bit different than, okay, SDLC model. Okay, so let's go pretty quick to different slides. So implement SDLC. So you can have this, okay, let me, let me include this URL so that, you guys can view this URL. Just understand the model, okay? So how the model, the flow, the way it is flowing, you need to understand that. That's the only thing. Okay, so there's one more called Spiral SDLC. Here it's a little bit different. This has quadrants: quadrant 1, quadrant 2, quadrant 3, quadrant 4. But again, the phases remain same, but the way you move the project, the framework is spirally, first prototype, then concept, then go back to the next phase, then you determine objectives, then, you work here as a spiral. So that's called spiral SDLC. Okay. Let's move to the next one pretty quick. So here's the thing, okay? You design it, review the design, develop, inspect. So, I mean, the phases are similar, okay? No, the phases which you have in here you go, but spiral level, okay? Next one. Agile. So we'll go through this Agile on Monday. So we'll go in detail on this, okay? Agile is, what is an Agile? Agile is an iterative and incremental process. It's again a new version of SDLC. SDLC is a little bit different, okay? And Agile is different, totally different things, okay? This is nothing to do with any business or something. This is a little bit completely different from SDLC. Okay, so Agile is, it has subparts, okay? It has subparts. What you have in Agile is a lot of things will work on Scrum. There is a Scrum, there is extreme programming, okay, and there is a Kanban. All these are part of the Agile. So you can use one or many in your project. You might use only one, the Scrum or Kanban or extreme programming. These are parts of the Agile, okay. Okay, so I'll give you, this slides, so we'll be having this in Google Drive. So let me pretty quickly give you the information. Where does it have? You go here, it's directory number 26, and you can have all these slides, what I'm explaining you. Okay, any questions so far? Yeah, somebody asked, like, rags to explain about that. Go through this, okay? Go through this, because I have not, gone into in detail with this, because this, you can understand it, but it's really not required to go completely into this, because we'll not be using a lot of all this, okay? We might be using, it's not that I'm not using, but sometimes, right, the process will be the, when you go into a project, it will be the company's own methodology. Sometimes they don't use any of this. So that means, doesn't mean that it is useless, but it means you can use some knowledge from here to implement the new stage in your project. Okay, so it's good to know. Okay, and let's move to the next pretty quick. There's called something called STLC. Okay, so what is STLC? It's software testing lifecycle. Oops. So, as you know, um, this also contains like 3, 4, 5 phases, and so we have done all this. Okay, you know what? We have done all this. Only test plan preparation. Now, maybe I'll be giving you homework, sometime later. So we prepare this test plan document. Okay, then we prepare test cases. So we have done test cases, right? Remember, rally. We went to the rally and created test cases, right? So that's what it is. Test execution. Yeah, of course, we have executed test cases. Okay. Let's go here so that. So this is the part. So what you were doing, you will be documenting all this. Okay. So I'm taking it 5 to 10 minutes so that we'll complete this. Okay. So we'll just have some people who want to leave can leave. I know you have different class, so I'll have this recording. And the people who cannot hear properly, I'm giving you another, video. You can go ahead and look at the other video. Okay. Okay. So here's the thing. So this is what we created, right? A lot of test cases. That's what it means. Test case design. Test case execution. You guys have executed the test case. Remember? You see this? This is the execution part. So test case execution. Test log is what? Okay. Test log is can be as simple as this document you guys have attached. You see this attachment? That's a test log that shows that you have executed. Okay, defect tracking, of course, we have done this defect tracking. You know what, you have opened defects, lot of defects. Now, the tracking in sense, that means that each defect ID, it has ID, okay, 378, 379, 377, okay, so that's called, once you query that, you get the defect ID, you can track your defect. Test report preparation. Okay, we also gone through this. Go to the reports, go ahead and click on that. And oops, this is so the graph is not plotted, so no, we don't get that one. So we just okay. So here, you can also get the report. So this is all about test STLC. What is STLC? It contains 5 phases. Okay, test plan preparation, test case design, test execution, defect tracking, and test report preparation. Okay. Any questions in STLC? So we know we've gone to this various status. Okay, we will go through it again. Severity, we have talked about severity, we have talked about priority. Okay, so we have done all this. So just need to review it. Just once you review it, okay, you can have a you'll get a better idea on that. Okay. Okay, so if no questions, let's move to the next topic pretty quick. We'll finish this. So there is something called bug life cycle. Again, we have done this already. Okay. Okay, so let's quickly check. Okay. So just run this. So here's you take this. Go here. So this is defect, right? Let's go to the defect section. Okay, so what I'm talking about is, let's say, let's click on this. So this is what we are talking about. This is the stage. So what is bug life cycle? We are talking about the stage of these bugs. Let's see here, pretty quick. Oh, great. Now, once you open a defect, it will be in the new status. Okay, you need to change it to open status, as I told you, right? From the submitted status, you need to change it to open status. And then what you need to do is assign it. Assign to whom? Assign to the developer or some responsible guy, the owner of the defect. The owner of the defect is always a developer. Okay, developer, architect, or whoever is responsible. Okay, once you do that, now developer will change it. It's it's fixed. If it is fixed, again you need to test it and then verify it and then close the defect. This is the happy part, but it doesn't happen all the time. If you assign it, the developer say it's not my problem. This is a different issue. Then you need to work on. If you're lucky, the developer will route your ticket to another developer or another guy. Then you need to check with him saying that, hey, this is the issue. Once you do that, they will fix it, test it, and verify it. Okay, they fix it, but you still say that no, this is not fixed. You reopen the defect and again put it assigned. So assign it different guy. Okay. Now developer has two options here. They can reject your defect and they can defer your defect. Defer in sense that they don't have time to work on your defect. They will say, okay, you know what? We'll do this in a different release, and that gets deferred. Okay. Now, sometimes your defect can be rejected, saying that this is not a defect, it's a feature. Okay, in case your defect might reject it. So this is the bug life cycle. And you know what? We have done this. Let's show you. You know what? This is what we were talking about. Submitted from open, it gets fixed. Once it gets fixed, you want to reopen it, go back and reopen. If you want to say no, developer is a different developer, then again work with them, fix it. And then once you retest that application same time, then you close it. Okay, so that's about defect lifecycle. Any questions? So we worked on more onto documents and this SDLC process. So this SDLC, we need to a little bit look into this because this is something which is not software. This is not something which is, no, give me the access, I will, what's the software for SDLC, no. That is a process. It's a framework. It's, the way it has to do in the environment. That's called SDLC. Okay, it's a software development lifecycle. It's an iterative and incremental process. It's not a software. Okay. Okay, so any questions so far? So yeah, somebody has told to explain about Brad, right? You can go ahead and look to this. Don't just don't rely on that. May I use that rapid application development? So that's RAD. Okay, rapid application development. You may not always use that, but just have some knowledge. So whenever if interviewer asks you, you can have some knowledge to explain that. So how does it work? How different is from SDLC? How are you going to proceed with this? Okay, process. Okay. Okay, if no one has any questions, can we close this class for today? Again, coming back to the same thing, make sure you guys work on coordination. Okay, if somebody says, see, this is, when you go into the corporate environment, it's pretty different. Okay, once you go it, somebody says something, you need to follow up with that. Okay, you need to check with them. If it doesn't work, you need to, go back to check with your lead, check with your follow-up, CC your boss, CC your, the guy who is following, because they will not do work, of course. Nobody, has time for you. You need to follow up with them. Okay, that's what you need to do. You need to follow up. Okay, if you don't follow up, then it will be the same place where it is. Okay, so if that doesn't get moved, so you need to check with them, call with them, say this, okay, this is the problem I'm getting, this shit we get fixed, you know what, this is very priority issue, and that's how you need to work. Okay, thank you guys.